Our Spooky Story, a story of ghostly friendship by Alex and Elena. It started with the first stone. The street wound through a housing tract built on the edge of town, nestled up to miles and miles of burnt yellow grass hills, with oak trees scattered about. At the very end of the street was a house unlike all the rest. The new house had an old style, making it look like it had lived peacefully with the burnt yellow grass hills for centuries before. A family had recently moved into the house and was in the process of putting in a new yard. To keep with the old country look of the new house, the family had stepping stones shipped all the way from Transylvania, halfway across the world, just to place in their yard. Now, Transylvania is home to some of the spookiest things in the world. The night the very first stone was placed in the yard, a large black bird came to sit on the roof of the house. The yellow-eyed blackbird's head tilted down, and then to the left, and then to the right, as if it was inspecting the stone's placement in the new yard. Many days passed by, and more stones were laid in the yard. It was as if they were trying to recreate an old path and a sitting wall from long ago. Each night, one more blackbird came to watch the construction. It's as if they didn't want anyone to know that they were there watching. But one night, the night of the first full moon to shine on the completed Transylvania yard, something very strange happened. A white mist rose out of one of the stones. The mist formed into an image of a girl. The girl floated and came to sit on the wall. She didn't look very scary, but instead she looked a bit confused. As the ghost girl rose and floated up and down the newly laid stone path, the blackbirds seemed to surround her, like the bluebirds that follow a Disney princess. Elena and I secretly watched the ghost girl as she inspected her new home from behind a thick oak tree from across the street. As she continued to move across the yard, her brow furrowed and the delicate corners of her mouth turned downward, making a sad, confused frown. I don't think she liked the new path or the new house very much. The ghost girl had a big, beautiful black eyes and long black hair that tumbled down to the floor in soft waves. If she had skin, the color would be like that of cool white ivory. She didn't look very scary, but maybe even just a little bit pretty, in a spooky sort of way. Elena and I whispered to each other as we watched the ghost girl carefully. Her smoky gray dress came down to her knees and swayed back and forth as she stood next to a newly transplanted olive tree. Elena and I wanted to stay and watch all night, but we knew it was getting late. If we didn't get home soon, our moms would surely worry about us. So we quietly attempted to tiptoe out from behind the tree from which we had been hiding. Eek! Screech! Eek! The blackbird started to holler as if to warn the ghost girl of our presence. We froze in our steps, goosebumps raised up on our arms, and if our hair could stand straight up, I'm sure it would have. We swung around quickly and hid, but in a moment she was gone. Lights flashed from inside the house, each window now glowing a soft yellow. The front door of the house swung open, and out came owners of the house with brooms lifted up behind their heads and gripped tightly in their hands as if they were ready to attack. Helena and I quickly ran back behind the tree because it was too far to run all the way home without being seen. We thought this house must be full of witches. But as they waved the brooms from bottom up into the air, we realized they were just trying to get rid of those noisy birds who were so loudly screeching, creating the spookiest concert of noises we had ever heard. Comforted by the thought that the owners must be normal people like us, we laughed and started to talk about the ghost girl. Where do you think she came from? How old was she? Where are her parents? Is she friendly? We jabbered on with excited energy caused by the scare. I come from Transylvania. I'm 8 years old, and I'm looking for my parents, said a small voice. Elena and I looked at each other with our eyes as large as saucers and bright with fear. We grabbed each other's hands and then slowly turned around. There she was, the ghost girl, floating right next to us. But when we looked into her worried eyes, we were no longer afraid. We felt sadness for her. The ghost girl went on to say that she didn't know where she was or why she can no longer find her family and her friends. I'm lonely, and I miss my parents so very much, said the ghost girl. Well, we can be your friends. I'm Alex, and this is Elena. We live just down the street, I said. But the ghost girl's sad eyes lit up only a little. Thank you for your kindness and for not running away when you saw me, the ghost girl continued. Can you help me get back home? We can try, Elena and I said at the same time, now looking at each other for support. But we have to go home right now because our parents will soon be looking for us. We promise to come right back tomorrow and help make a plan to get you back home. With that, the ghost girl nodded, took 2 steps back, and then vanished into the cool night air. Wow, that was so cool, we said to each other, now looking face to face and tightly holding each other's hands. We couldn't believe what we just experienced. Once again giggling with excitement, we jumped on our bikes and quickly rode home. Elena lives in the house right next to mine, so just as I got upstairs to my room, I turned on the light and I heard Elena on the can phone. The can phone is a science project Elena and I have that goes from my bedroom window to hers. It is 2 cans connected by wire. She speaks on one side and I listen on the other. I can hear her talking in her room anyway, so I'm not sure if the can phone really works or not. Elena tells me to log on to our secure chat room so we can develop a plan to help the ghost girl. We have our own chat room set up online so we can talk to each other even when we are not together. We recounted the night and tried to figure out how to help the ghost girl until the hours passed and it was late in the night. The chat only ended because I fell asleep with my hands still on my keyboard and my face smushed on top of them. Dad later scooped me up and placed me in my bed where I continued to try to find a way to help the ghost girl in my dreams. Every day we rode our bikes to meet with the ghost girl and became great friends. After a while, she was not as sad as when we first met her, but still she missed her family very much. By now there must have been at least 40 blackbirds that had come to the now haunted house to keep the ghost girl company. The people who lived in the house were not very happy about the uninvited bird guests. They would chase them with brooms and bang tin cans together to make loud crashing noises in hopes that the birds would go away. But the birds would not. Instead, more and more birds came to visit the ghost princess. We named the ghost girl that because only princesses could talk to birds. We discovered that the stones from Transylvania were taken from the ghost princess's house. She used to run up and down the path daily, and since becoming a ghost, she kept that ritual not knowing that she was even a ghost girl at all. Only since meeting Elena and me did she realize that she was no longer a little girl. But it was no matter to her whether she was a girl or a ghost. All she wanted was to find her family so they could all be together again. Elena and I tried and tried to find a way to send the ghost princess home. None of our ideas seemed to work, save one. One day, we knocked on the door of the haunted house. A kind-looking woman answered the door, and we began to tell her of the story of the Transylvania stone and how the ghost princess needed to go home. She listened to us for at least an hour as we told her everything we knew and begged her to find a way to take the ghost princess back to the Transylvania house where she had been with her family. The kind woman's eyes looked compassionate, and would even out a word. She slowly nodded and then closed the door. Elena and I looked at each other with questions in our faces. What was the woman going to do? Did she listen to us at all? Later that evening, we met with the ghost princess and told her what we had done. "We're sorry," we said. "We tried everything we could think of to get you back home. But you can be part of our families. We can be sisters, all three of us," Elena said. We all looked at each other and knew this was already true. We would be sister friends forever. But sadly, that was not enough. Even though we had each other, the ghost princess needed her family. The next night was a full moon. It was so bright that it looked like a big flashlight had been hung in the sky. Elena and I went to the same tree we had gone to each night before to meet the ghost princess. But this time it felt different. Not one black bird was at the haunted house. None sitting on the fence, none sitting on the house or the mailbox or even the olive tree. They were all gone. The house was dark. Not even the porch light glowed as it had every night before. We walked across the street to take a closer look. There were no cars in the driveway, and the evening paper was still on the porch. We decided to knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. No answer. No sound. Nothing. Knock, 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 we repeated. Still nothing. We turned around and headed down the hand-laid path of the Transylvania stone and noticed one stone was missing. Elena and I looked at each other and our hearts filled with happiness. We knew at that moment the ghost princess was on her way home to her family. The nice women who owned the house did listen to us, and she did care. Just as we got on our bikes to ride back home, a warm wind blew through the leaves of the olive tree. We looked over our shoulders towards the sound of the rustling leaves to find the ghost princess sitting on the wall under the tree. We were so excited to see her that we dropped our bikes and we ran back towards the trees. "I wanted to say thank you and let you know that I will always be your friend. No, I mean your sister," the ghost princess said warmly. "I wish I could hug you goodbye," said Elena. "Me too," I said, feeling happy and sad at the same time. "Maybe we can. Maybe we can do a group hug, all three of us," the ghost princess continued. Elena grabbed Alex's hands. "Okay, now both of you close your eyes and I will enter into the space between both of you." I looked at Elena and then grabbed both of her hands with mine, not knowing what to expect. It was then I felt a warm touch and a whisper. "Thank you. I promise to visit and never forget how you helped me get back home to my family." When we opened our eyes, Elena, all we saw was each other's smile. The ghost princess was gone. Now, every October, Elena and I sit across from the haunted house and we tell each other's ghost stories. I'm hoping that you have some good ghost stories to tell too. If you do, you can send it to me at Ellen, ELLEN, at via.com. Happy Halloween.